Hi, and welcome to Reddit Confessions. She placed the letter on the table like it was a trophy. Her eyes sparkled, her smile was rehearsed. Read it, she said. Go ahead. I wish I hadn't. The envelope was thick, crisp, ivory-colored with a faint shimmer, the kind of paper you use when you want to make a lie look expensive. It even smelled like lavender, as if the scent would soften the blow of what I was about to read. I unfolded it. It was typed in elegant serif font, addressed to my wife, Cambria, congratulating her on her exemplary performance and upward mobility. I kept reading, nodding slowly like a fool at a magic show. My fingers trembled by the third paragraph. Not because I was impressed, but because my eyes caught a faint, off-center watermark pressed into the corner of the page. It was the logo of a hotel. Not her company's logo. Not some fancy corporate building. A hotel. One I recognized. One she swore she stayed in by accident during her career summit last month. And just beneath it, barely visible, a handwritten note in silver gel ink, tucked below the signature. Same sweet, same smile. Let's call this a well-earned bonus, M. I didn't say a word. I just handed the paper back and looked at her. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then her breath caught, like her lungs had locked up. That's the moment I knew. She wasn't proud of the promotion. She was terrified of what I'd find in the fine print. And this was only the beginning. Cambria didn't speak for almost a full minute. That's not poetic exaggeration. I watched the clock on the microwave tick past 5:36, then 5:37, and in all that time she just stood there, eyes flicking between the letter and my face like a glitching robot trying to reboot. And all I did was stare at her with what I imagine was the dumbest expression a man can wear, the look of someone who just realized he's been cheering from the front row while his wife was starring in someone else's show. I finally broke the silence. Who's M? Her lips parted, but no words came out. She closed them again, swallowed, then offered the weakest smile I've ever seen. It's a joke, she said. Just a running joke with the team. Right. A handwritten love note on a company promotion letter. From a hotel. Signed with a heart. Very professional. I should have confronted her harder right then. I should have raised my voice, demanded the truth, flipped a table, something. But instead, I backed away. I felt like I was shrinking inside my own skin. My heart was thudding, not in anger, but in embarrassment. That's always been my flaw. I absorb pain quietly and blame myself for being too dramatic. I was already questioning if I'd misunderstood something. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe M was a friend. Maybe. No. I knew. Deep down, I knew. That night she claimed she had a late Zoom call with her new team to discuss the role transition. I laid in bed alone, wide awake, while she whispered into her laptop in the guest room. At one point, I walked quietly down the hallway and pressed my ear to the door. All I heard was soft laughter. Her laughter. And something else, the unmistakable clink of wine glasses. She came to bed hours later, smelling like a lie. Not like wine, not even like perfume, just that faint, metallic scent of guilt. You don't forget it once you know it. The next day, I did something I'd never done in over a decade of marriage. I snooped. I felt awful doing it, like I was betraying her, even though I knew she'd already betrayed me. I waited until she left for a team lunch, then opened her closet. I don't even know what I was looking for, maybe a receipt, maybe nothing. What I found knocked the air right out of me. Tucked behind an old purse, there was a slim black folder. Inside were 3 things. A printed itinerary for a weekend trip to Lincoln, not for a work summit, but for Stonebridge couple's spa getaway. A hotel receipt with a room charge for 2 glasses of champagne, 1 bottle of rose, and a massage package labeled Romance Revival. A card. Not even sealed. Just a simple white card with gold script. It said, "To more secret promotions. Can't wait for next month. M." At that point, I sat down on the floor. Just, sat. I remember staring at the air vent on the wall across from me and feeling this bizarre calm, like I'd floated out of my own body. This wasn't just cheating. This was planned, celebrated, gift-wrapped. She didn't just betray me, she turned it into a lifestyle. And the worst part? I still didn't know who M was. But I was about to find out. And trust me, when I did, it shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I didn't sleep that night. Not a minute. I sat in the living room in complete darkness, just staring at the coffee table like it held answers. The card from M was still in my hand. Her purse was right there on the couch across from me, thrown carelessly like none of this mattered. I kept turning the card over, again and again, hoping something would change, hoping maybe if I stared long enough it would explain itself. But it didn't. Nothing did. By the time the sun started rising, I had decided on something I never thought I'd do. I was going to find out who M was, no matter how bad it hurt. Cambria came downstairs at around 7:20 a.m., still in her silk robe, yawning and rubbing her neck like she was the one carrying a burden. She looked surprised to see me already up. "I didn't hear you come to bed," she said, pouring coffee like this was any other Thursday. I said nothing at first. I just watched her. And maybe this sounds crazy, but in that moment, I genuinely wondered how someone could move so casually through a lie that big. How can you sip coffee while your marriage is in freefall? Eventually, I asked again, quieter this time. "Who's M?" She froze, her hand gripping the mug a little too tight. "I told you," she said with a forced chuckle, "it's just a nickname from someone on the team." "You're reading into it." "Right," I nodded. "And the couple's retreat? The spa package? The champagne? All part of your onboarding?" She blinked hard. "You went through my stuff. I didn't even defend myself. I was past pretending." That's when her expression changed. She went from defensive to pale. She set the cup down and sat across from me, arms folded. "Listen, Boyd," she started, and I swear she tried to keep her voice calm, like I was some overgrown toddler having a tantrum. "It was a mistake. Okay? One time. It just happened. It doesn't mean anything." That's when I laughed. I couldn't help it. "You don't write love notes to people for one-time mistakes, Cambria." Silence. And then, finally, she said the name. "Milo." I blinked. "Milo from accounting?" She nodded slowly, ashamed. "Let me paint you a picture. Milo is the guy at every office who never speaks up during meetings but somehow gets promotions. He wears vests. Uses words like synergy unironically. Balding, but acts like it's a choice. I remember meeting him once at her office holiday party. He called me buddy and offered me a drink I didn't ask for. I didn't like him then, now I understood why. According to Cambria, it started during a business trip last fall. She said she was lonely and that they had chemistry. I asked how long it lasted. She said she didn't know. Which, to me, meant it never really stopped. I asked if anyone else knew. She shook her head. "No one. Not even HR. He's married, too. It's complicated." Complicated. Right. Here's the kicker, she claimed it wasn't about him. She said she still loved me. She said she felt trapped by routine, by my predictability. That hurt more than the cheating, honestly. Like being loyal and steady was some kind of weakness. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just told her I needed space. I grabbed my keys and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I ended up in a grocery store parking lot 20 minutes away, sitting in the car, watching people live normal lives while mine had just shattered like glass under a slow, steady pressure. I didn't tell anyone yet. Not my brother, not my best friend Nate, not even my coworker Trisha, who I usually vent to when Cambria and I argue. I just sat with it. Until the next day. Because on that day, something else happened. Something that made all of this look like the warm-up. I got a message. Not from Milo. Not from Cambria. But from someone else entirely, someone I hadn't spoken to in nearly 8 years. And what they sent me changed everything. The message came through just after lunch. I was sitting in my car again, parked behind the community library this time, halfway through a cold drive-through burger I didn't even want. I only checked my phone because I couldn't stare out the windshield anymore. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen since before our wedding. Lana Carlisle. Cambria's old co-worker. She'd moved out of state years ago. Last I'd heard, she was in Oregon, working for some startup. She and Cambria had been close, not best friends, but close enough that Cambria cried when she left. We'd gone out for drinks once, the three of us. She was sharp. Observant. Always a little too perceptive for my comfort. Her message was short. No hello. No explanation. Just. Check your wife's calendar. Look for Fridays. Especially last month. You'll find him there. My heart stopped for a second. Literally stopped. I stared at the text and just froze. I didn't even respond. I couldn't. I sat there with that greasy burger in my lap, my hand clenched around the phone so tight my knuckles turned white. It felt like being handed a map to a buried body. I opened Cambria's shared calendar, the one we used to plan doctor appointments, family visits, holiday dinners. The one she swore she barely touched anymore, since switching departments. The irony was, I still had access through my Gmail. She'd never revoked it. The pattern was obvious once I saw it. Every Friday, for nearly 2 months straight, there were vague little entries tucked between real meetings. Off-site feedback lunch. 1:15, executive coffee. Stone Ridge meeting, private. Stone Ridge. The same name on the letter. The same hotel where she supposedly, accidentally, stayed. It was there every week like clockwork. Fridays. Always in the early afternoon. Always, private. I scrolled back. Farther. Weeks. Then months. It wasn't just recent. The first one I found. September 1st. The same weekend she told me she was helping her mother reorganize her basement. I remember because I'd offered to go with her, and she said, "It's going to be dusty and boring, Boyd, just enjoy your Saturday." She wasn't with her mom. She was with him. I sat back in the driver's seat, dizzy. My vision blurred for a second. I felt like I had just swallowed something sharp. Lana hadn't messaged again, and I didn't ask her why she'd sent that tip. It was almost like she knew I was ready to see the truth. Like she'd been waiting for the right moment. When I got home that night, Cambria wasn't there. Her car was gone. Her phone was off. No note. No, be back soon. Just the promotion letter still lying on the kitchen counter like some cruel joke. And beside it? A wine glass. Half full. Still warm. I didn't move. I just stood there staring at it, trying not to lose control. Every part of me screamed to smash something. To scream. To finally do something other than silently fall apart. But I didn't. Because I knew, if I let myself unravel now, I'd never come back. Instead, I went upstairs. I opened my laptop. And I started digging. Emails. Cloud storage. Old backups. Deleted photo folders. Every digital shadow she'd ever left behind, I followed them all. I turned into someone I didn't recognize. And what I found? One folder. Buried in her Google Drive. Not labeled suspiciously, just, client material, January. Inside were screenshots. Conversations. Photos. A full trail of destruction I wasn't supposed to see, one she probably thought she'd hidden well enough behind business labels and cloud storage laziness. One video file. I almost didn't click it. But I did. And I saw them. Together. In the hotel room. Her in that blue dress I'd complimented weeks ago. Him, with his stupid smug vest. Champagne on the table. Her laughing like she was 17 again. It was only 23 seconds long, but it felt like my entire marriage replayed in reverse, unraveling frame by frame. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat in the dark with the screen glowing in my face, whispering to myself, why wasn't I enough? I wanted answers. But I also wanted to disappear. The next morning, I made a plan. Not revenge. Not rage. Just clarity. Because if she wanted this new version of herself so badly, the one who smiled at hotel love notes and called betrayal a promotion, then I was going to give her exactly what she asked for. But on my terms. The morning light was pouring through the blinds when she walked back in like nothing had happened. She even hummed a little, like someone who'd just had a restful night away from the chaos of real life. Her heels clicked across the hardwood like they were applauding her. I was sitting at the kitchen table, fully dressed, bags packed, my laptop open with the video queued up on the screen. She didn't notice me at first. When she finally looked up, she froze mid-step. "You're up early," she said, her voice a little too light, a little too careful. She glanced at the bags. "What's going on?" I didn't speak right away. I just turned the screen toward her and pressed play. She didn't even make it past the 10-second mark. Her smile vanished. Her jaw clenched. Her hands trembled, and she backed up like the video physically pushed her. "Where did you get that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It doesn't matter," I replied. "What matters is that I now know who you are when I'm not looking." She stood there silently, her eyes bouncing between the bags, the screen, and my face. There was a moment, a strange, quiet moment, where I thought she might actually come clean, fall to her knees, beg. Something dramatic. Something human. But instead, she did the one thing I truly didn't expect. She sat down. Like this was going to be a negotiation. "Okay," she said. "You saw it. You know. So what now? What now? What now?" I stared at her in disbelief. She wasn't crying. She wasn't apologizing. She wasn't even pretending to be shocked or ashamed. She was bracing, calculating, as if she had already played this conversation out in her head and was prepared to run the script. That's when I realized something terrifying. She never thought I'd leave. Not really. She thought I'd simmer, sulk, maybe sleep in the guest room for a while, but ultimately swallow it. Forgive her. Go back to folding laundry while she texted Milo behind my back. She didn't see me as a man with a boundary, she saw me as furniture with feelings. So I told her the truth. "I've booked a room for the week. I need time. I've already spoken to a lawyer." That part wasn't fully true. I had emailed a lawyer at 4:13 a.m. but hadn't gotten a response yet. Still, I needed her to believe it. I needed her to feel the ground shift. And for the first time since this entire nightmare began, I saw something crack in her. Not guilt. Not sorrow. Fear. Real, raw fear. "Boyd," she said quickly, "let's not make this bigger than it is." I almost laughed. Bigger than it is? I had video proof of her wrapped around another man like it was her wedding night, and she still thought this was about managing optics. "Cambria," I said slowly, I've been small for a long time so you could feel big. I let things slide. I stayed quiet. I gave you the benefit of the doubt every time you fed me another carefully worded excuse. But now, I see you for exactly who you are, and I'm finally choosing me. She opened her mouth to argue, but I stood up before she could. I picked up my keys, zipped my suitcase, and walked past her. As I reached the door, she said something I'll never forget. Her voice cracked for the first time, not with emotion, but panic. You're not really going to throw all of this away, are you? I paused. Turned back. No, I said. You already did. I'm just walking away from the ashes. And then I left. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. Because 2 days later, I received a package at the front desk of the hotel I was staying in. No name. No return address. Just a padded envelope with something inside that felt like paper and plastic. I opened it in the elevator. And what was inside? That changed everything, again. Not about Cambria. But about Milo. The elevator doors hadn't even fully closed before I ripped open the envelope. I don't know why I was shaking. Maybe I was expecting another knife to the ribs, maybe I had gotten addicted to the shock. At this point, it felt like each day peeled back another layer of the life I thought I understood, only to reveal something even worse underneath. Inside the envelope was a USB drive. That's it. No note. No explanation. Just a plain black USB stick taped to a folded sheet of printer paper. On the paper, typed in small bold font, only 2 words. You should know. I stood there in the elevator, holding it like it was a grenade. My reflection in the chrome doors looked pale. Lifeless. I hadn't slept properly in days, hadn't eaten a full meal since the letter. My hotel room looked like a war zone, empty water bottles, room service trays, a half-unpacked suitcase, a blanket twisted on the couch where I'd passed out fully dressed the night before. And now this mystery USB felt like it was daring me to finally fall apart. I plugged it into my laptop. One folder. Titled Milo_Thompson_records. Inside were 5 files. 3 were screenshots. 1 was a document. 1 was a video. All of them bore time stamps, date stamps, watermarks. They were detailed. Meticulous. Someone had collected this information like evidence, not for curiosity's sake, but to destroy someone. I opened the document first. It was a scanned PDF of a formal complaint. A sexual misconduct report. Filed almost 7 years ago. Against Milo Thompson. The name stood out like a gunshot. The accusations were detailed: unwanted texts, suggestive messages during work hours, a pattern of pursuing subordinates and interns. But the final section, the resolution, was highlighted in yellow. No disciplinary action taken. Allegations unsubstantiated. File closed. Next came the screenshots. Messages between Milo and at least 2 women I didn't know, one of whom appeared to be married. The tone. Manipulative. Smooth. The kind of messages that start with, "You're not like the others," and end with, "No one has to know." But it wasn't just flirtation. It was leverage. Milo clearly had a pattern: find women in vulnerable spots, unhappy marriages, uncertain career paths, and make them feel special, needed, irreplaceable. Then use that to blur boundaries. And Cambria? She'd fit that mold perfectly. Driven. Overworked. Restless. And probably bored out of her mind with someone like me. Then I clicked the video. I shouldn't have. It was taken in what looked like a hotel conference room, one I recognized from Cambria's phone background. It was a screen recording from a Zoom call. Milo's face was front and center, and so was hers. What shook me wasn't the fact that they were together, I already knew that. It was what he said. Once the promotion's official, I'll delete the file. No one will ever know. But I want your word, Cam. This isn't just a fling. I'm investing in you. I paused the video. My ears were ringing. Delete the file. Investing in you. This isn't just a fling. This wasn't a romance. It was blackmail. Cambria had traded me, and possibly her own ethics, for upward momentum. But here's the real kicker, someone else had the file now. And they'd sent it to me. I sat in silence for nearly an hour. No music. No distractions. Just the hum of the hotel air conditioner and the dull pressure of realization pounding behind my eyes. I had spent weeks believing I was the sad, irrelevant husband who'd been outshined by a shinier man. But now I realized that Milo wasn't powerful, he was protected. Cambria wasn't in love, she was cornered. And neither of them had any idea that a third party was watching the entire time. But I still didn't know who had sent it. Until the next morning, when I got a second message. This time, it wasn't anonymous. It was from Lana. Again. The message from Lana came at exactly 8:02 a.m. No greeting, no build-up, no emoji-laced small talk. Just one line. Check your email. I sent you everything. My fingers were trembling before I even opened my inbox. There it was, subject line, for your eyes only, you need to see this. Attached were 3 PDFs, a Dropbox link, and a voice memo. I don't know how long I hovered over the files before clicking. I wasn't ready. Honestly, I don't think I could ever be. But I opened the voice memo first. Lana's voice came through the tinny hotel speakers, calm, collected, a little sad. Boyd, I know this is a lot. I didn't want to get involved, but after what Milo did to me, after what he almost got away with, I couldn't just sit on this anymore. I knew Cambria was caught up in it, but I didn't know how deep until recently. And when I saw the hotel note, I recognized the phrasing. Because he used that same wording with me. I have the emails. I kept the chat logs. And I've compiled everything. I paused it there, heart racing. Wait, Lana and Milo. I opened the PDFs next. The first one was titled, Employee Misconduct Timeline, M. Thompson. It was a detailed breakdown of Milo's interactions over a 10-year span. 6 different women. 3 formal complaints. All buried. Lana had been the first. She had screenshots from late-night Slack messages, calendar invites to off-site feedback brunches, copies of internal emails where Milo praised women right before they were offered promotions, sometimes without even applying. The second file was more personal. A journal entry Lana had written shortly after leaving the company. She wrote about how Milo manipulated her, made her believe she was different, then ghosted her entirely once rumors started swirling. She tried to warn HR. Nothing happened. She left quietly, tail between her legs, her reputation bruised, her confidence shattered. The third file. That one hit like a punch to the throat. It was an audio recording. Not a phone call. Not a voice memo. A recording from inside a conference room. Cambria's voice was crystal clear. She was pleading. Please, Milo. I can't keep doing this. It's not worth it anymore. Boyd starting to ask questions. I feel sick all the time. His voice, low and patronizing. You want that director title, don't you? You want to stop working weekends? Then don't make this difficult. I've already put in the paperwork. You just have to play your part. The rest of the conversation was muffled, someone must have hidden a phone under a notepad or in a purse, but it was enough. I stopped the recording halfway through. I couldn't listen to my wife bargain with a predator like she was haggling over vacation days. I closed the laptop and sat in the silence of that hotel room for what felt like forever. I thought back to the early years of our marriage. The camping trip where we laughed until our faces hurt. The time we slow danced in the living room with no music, just rain tapping on the windows. The day we couldn't stop crying after the doctor told us the fertility treatments weren't working. I thought all of it meant something. I thought it was the foundation we'd keep standing on, no matter what life threw at us. But now I realized something brutal. Cambria had been sinking for years, and instead of reaching for me, she'd grabbed the first rope offered by a man who wrapped control in compliments. And me? I'd been watching the tide rise, convincing myself it was just fog. The final link Lana sent was a Dropbox folder titled Legal. She had already submitted everything anonymously to the company's ethics board, and by the time I opened the folder, she'd confirmed Milo had been placed on temporary administrative leave pending investigation. Cambria hadn't responded to any of my messages. Not a single one. That night, I walked around the city for hours. I passed couples holding hands, restaurants filled with laughter, people who didn't know their lives were quietly falling apart. I envied every one of them. Then I went back to the hotel, showered, shaved, and stared at myself in the mirror. I didn't see a man who lost his wife anymore. I saw someone who survived the slowest form of betrayal imaginable. The next morning, I drafted a letter, not to Cambria. Not to Milo. But to myself. A reminder of what I will never tolerate again. And then I wrote one more letter. To her. Cambria was sitting on the porch when I pulled into the driveway. She looked smaller than I remembered, not physically, but spiritually. Her hair was tied back, her eyes hollow, her hands clutched around a coffee mug like it was anchoring her to reality. It was the same mug I'd given her for our 5th anniversary. The inscription had long faded. She didn't speak when I got out of the car. She didn't have to. I walked past her, through the front door, and up to our bedroom. I didn't rush. Every step felt measured, intentional, like I was reclaiming something she thought I'd never have the courage to take back. The house was clean. Quiet. Our framed wedding photo had been turned face down on the hallway table. I didn't bother flipping it. I placed the letter on the kitchen counter where she would find it. No dramatic scene. No yelling. Just words. Words she could sit with long after I was gone. Cambria. I don't hate you. I hate what we became. You were never a villain, just a woman who made terrible choices, one small compromise at a time. And I was the man who watched it happen while convincing himself it was all in his head. I'm not walking away because of Milo. I'm walking away because I finally remembered who I am when I'm not trying to prove I'm enough for someone who never asked me to be. I hope one day you look back at this chapter and realize the promotion wasn't worth the cost. I already have. Boyd. I left the house without looking back. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel like a victim. I didn't feel like a backup plan. I felt like someone starting over. It's been 6 weeks since that day. I've moved into a small but peaceful apartment across town. I finally took a few vacation days, something I hadn't done in years. I started cooking again, joined a small book club, don't laugh, it's helped, and reconnected with my brother. Cambria never responded to the letter, but I know she read it. I heard Milo resigned quietly a few days after Lana's files were leaked internally. HR swept it under the rug like they always do, but the damage was done. A few other women came forward. The story didn't go viral or anything, it just ended the way most corporate scandals do. Quietly. Behind closed doors. But at least it ended. As for Lana, she's the real hero of this story. She didn't just help me, she stood up for herself after years of being ignored. We've exchanged a few messages. She even joked that I should write a memoir. I told her I'm more of a Reddit guy. So, to everyone watching or listening, thank you for staying with me through this mess. If nothing else, I hope my story reminded someone out there that silence isn't strength, and that walking away isn't failure, sometimes, it's the only way to find yourself again. And now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever discovered a secret that changed your life forever? A detail that shattered the illusion? A truth you couldn't unsee? Let's talk about it in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your stories right here on Reddit Confessions. We'll be here, listening.